Hey everyone, welcome to FMA Talk Live. I am Datu Tim, and this is my wonderful co-host Tye Botting. Wait a minute, what the hell happened? How did you get here?
Well, we all know. Okay, we have to be honest here. Okay, and Ty's going to have to accept this. I mean, we, I am the backup to the backup. There's been an infiltration from FMA discussion.
Oh my goodness, we've been invaded. So, it's that time of the year.
Yeah.
End of school year, people have graduations and stuff of that nature. So there's a schedule conflict. So Dean I asked Dean if he'd want to do a show. I pushed back the pre-existing shows. We put in a new one today about owning the seminar floor. This is actually Dean's idea, which I think is a wonderful thing. I want to talk about different things like that. For those who haven't been around or haven't, our regulars, please, by all means, tell us where you're logging in from, like what part of the country. Sometimes it comes up, or what part of the world. Sometimes it comes up with your name, and depending if you're coming in on a page versus personal profile, it may just say Facebook user or whatever. So make sure you let us know, hey, it's John from Brazil or whatever. And by the way, I was in Brazil. That's
you were.
Yes, I was. Greetings from Portland, Oregon. And yes, Eric, he came up because he's logged in. D-Man from Ottawa. Hello, my man. Another.
Who's D-Man?
D-Man, who the heck are you?
Just don't even mind asking.
He's the man.
He writes some really nice comments. I'm assuming if it's the same person, he usually writes very nice comments on FMA discussion on some of the podcasts that get put there. So if it's the same person, it's and all that. That's all. So if it is the same person,
Dean wants to know if the checks are being cashed properly.
If it is the same person, thank you.
Yeah, so I was on a week tour. Actually, it was weird. So I went down. Not weird. It was cool. Yeah. I am very nice. He says. Okay, very good. I'm being him. He is very nice. Okay. So basically, Professor Tallis had me come down, and Craig came along with, and we did an instructor. We did an instructor course for him. So, and then while we were there, he had us do a couple seminars. But I mean, we were training 4 or 5 hours a day easily the whole time we were there. But we also got to go all over the place. Thomas, thanks for logging in. Primarily we were in Rio. We also went up to Sao Paulo, the cap. I think that's the cap. Well, is that the capital? I don't know. It's bigger. I really liked Rio because it was on the water. It's got a cool vibe. They took us by where Gracie Baja got their name, the beach, and how it all came about.
Oh, okay.
And Steve, how you doing in Uniontown, PA? We're doing pretty good so far. So far, so good.
Yeah, pretty good. Thank you, Steve.
So, I had a blast. Craig and I went. Some turmoil happened while we were up there. People were whining about upcoming shows without clarifying stuff. So, and part of it was my fault because I wasn't. I was doing stuff the day I was leaving for Brazil, and I took a shortcut on some of my graphics, and I gave people the misinterpretation that I was saying something. But the thing that really, I'm very pessimistic about the community, and they never let me down, and I wish they would. I'm like, yeah, these guys are going to be a bunch of D-bags, and of course they are. And they all hop on me for things that were said in the write-up, but the show hasn't even aired yet. We haven't even done anything, and people are judging stuff versus just, hey, maybe we call something out. And and I'm going to give an example of this. It was your show.
Okay.
You asked, and you and I talk about this all the time, about getting the F out of Filipino martial arts. And it's not that I want to sterilize the martial art and make this a generic martial system. It's just that too many people say we can't have professional schools because it's Filipino martial arts. And it's like, no, we're martial artists teaching Filipino concepts. Karate guy, martial artists teaching Japanese concepts. And if you want to look at the people who are Johnny come lately, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu came in way after us. Yet they have dedicated academies around the world, and we have diddly squat.
Yeah, we definitely talked about that and expanded on that.
Yeah.
And
Hey, Jackie.
yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but
Well,
it's
it was,
also our own doing.
you made the comment, and you and I, where I'm coming on this.
Mm.
You had actually made the comment about that to Chris Chu, and Chris kind of came off like, well, I don't want to get rid of Filipino. I'm like, no, you're misquoting me, and later that night you asked me to be on the show. It's like, I wish to God people would do this. If you say something to me that I don't get, I'm like, well, what do you mean by that, Dean?
Mm.
Just make sure before I judge, I know what's going on. And I'm like, I've been on your show a couple times, and last time we had guests.
We had the younger folks.
Well, actually, the previous time, some Chaz Bailey said some things.
Okay.
And I asked for clarification before I made a comment or had an opinion. Like, well, I forgot exactly what it was, and I go like, well, what do you mean by that? And he explained, and I answered accordingly. But because I wasn't sure where he was coming from, or it sounded a little left field, and I want to make sure I'm on the same page.
Mm.
So I mean, like, hey, when someone says, "Well, I want you to do something," I go like, "So you're telling me you want me to do this? Okay, just want to make sure that I'm clarify." So it was a little, like I said, I should have known better. I should have taken my time to do it right. And what the topic is, it's not next week. Next week is about whether the IMF, while Remy was alive, was that an organization after he came to the States, or was it more of a personal branding? Not what happened after he died,
Okay.
but while he was around, how much of an organization it actually was, the successes, the shortcomings, the whole thing, the whole gambit. Show after that, we're going to talk about who should be promoting people to black belts. Now, unfortunately, a bunch of people thought I was saying about the Grandmaster promotions, and how can I question someone being promoted to Grandmaster by, and because Roberto Precis was signing off on these diplomas that came from the IMA of Philippines. And
Okay.
People understand, I've said this time and time again, and no one has to agree with me. In modern, there was only supposed to be one GM. Okay. So I'm not going down that. But how can I mean, so, and the thing here is I'm not going to be hypocritical, because Ernesto Precis promoted, now these were all in the last couple of years. Ernesto Precis promoted me to Grandmaster in 2007. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, I was the only one of Remy's students he promoted me into Grandmaster. Now, it's in combatant because he told me he couldn't promote me in his brother's art, which if he couldn't, then I apply the same concept that if Ernesto, Remy was the big boy.
Correct.
Ernesto was the second in command. He had an organization. But Roberto stayed home. He only had like 20, 30 students,
Oh, part back there. Okay.
Yeah, in the Philippines. I mean, Roberto really didn't have much. He more helped his brother than anything else, So if Ernesto, which had this huge international base, couldn't promote me in Remy's art, that means no one could promote me in Remy's art, especially when you look at the will. He didn't will it to his family members, not the martial arts. So my comments have always been about that. I've been very clear to clarify this, and I've always said this, and I'll say it, I'll keep saying it, that both Kelly Warden and Dieter Knutel check all the boxes to be Grandmasters in their respective arts. But when it comes to waving the banner of modern unease, I have a different opinion. That's all. But that's not what the show's about. The show's about what I consider ludicrous promotions. I meet somebody and promote them to 6th degree for the first time I meet them. But we'll talk about that another time. Hey, Rich Parsons says hello. We love that. Rich, and says hello to me and Dean, and there we go. Good. What's this Facebook user? What's Facebook user say? Thank you for that history.
They're anonymous.
Yeah, listen, and we'll talk. When we talk about these promotional shows,
yeah,
I'm very clear. I'm very open. I mean, the thing that ticked me off about the whole thing was, if you didn't like what I said, just reach out and talk to me.
I know,
anyone could have messaged me.
And that's missing. It's just like, obviously social media has done wonderful things for us, exchange information, communication and that. But, with that communication being stressed, it's like, why, instead of misconstruing something or leaving a question mark, just PM somebody, just send them a
Well,
message.
and the thing here is that it was brought to my attention while I was in Brazil, so I wasn't even in the country to respond. I put up what I thought was a nice response. Kelly didn't respond to it, which tells me that it was okay, because if he didn't like it, and I reached out to him afterwards, and we've had words, and no yelling or screaming. We've just had a polite conversation back and forth. And I understand the little things that went on behind, people calling him up and reaching out to him and stuff.
Which
you know,
is
which is the
I
norm.
mean, I don't know the story there or who and all that, but my thing is, okay, so it's like, where the source is, but you're going to go around and get more people involved when you could just go to source
Well,
or at
and
least
that's
attempt.
and ultimately, here's where my position was. Well, as I said, I responded. Here's the problem: everybody started piling on me based on that, and I'm like, and Mike and Craig was like, "Did you see this? Did you see that?" No. I go, Craig, where are we? We're in Brazil. Where are they?
Exactly.
Where are they? They're I don't know. I go, they're all at home in their little apartments or houses, waiting on every word for the next person to say something on their computer or smartphone so they can pile on. Guess where we are, baby? We're in Brazil.
And the thing
Spreading
about that
remedies aren't
is,
the way I'm supposed to.
you should be enjoying, like, you were obviously down there enjoying a different country, the culture. I mean, you're being paid obviously to go down there. I mean,
Spreading the
you're going to
art.
distract yourself with other stuff that's just when you can wait to get home. So yeah, I mean, to me, that's a no-brainer. You're not dealing with it down there.
I was like, because it annoy me? Of course it annoys me when people do
Yeah,
stupid
we're all human.
knucklehead stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
But at the end of the day, I wasn't going to let it ruin my trip.
No, and that's the thing.
Right?
Like,
So
you
I
have to. Yeah. Like we had some drama in FMA discussion, and a lot of people don't know about it because I do a really good job of bearing it or not letting it blow up in a group, because that group is sacred to me, because I want it to be different from other groups where people can go in there, express themselves without being called names and all that. But my point is that there's a way of doing things where you're not creating all this drama and it really doesn't benefit the community. You know what I mean? When you're doing this, just other ways of doing it. And I wish sometimes people would
grow
really
up.
think, or just think before you just go. Just think, take a day or two and just think, like, what is the best way to go about this
I
where
have a
I can address
24-hour
the
rule for
problem?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, before I respond to things, I usually take 20 hours.
It's so worth
And
it.
if it's still important to me, I'll respond.
It's so worth it because now you can collect your thoughts.
But
You're not going to give just a knee
yeah,
jerk response. And, it's really worth it. Take
yep,
the time. And sometimes I know we want to jump in there and we want to address it and just get our
yep.
feet in there and our hand. But sometimes the best thing to do is let some time go by. And it's hard. I'm not saying it's easy, but I think it's
Yeah.
well worth it at times. And you got some
This is where I
beautiful,
was. This is
beautiful
what I was
pictures.
doing.
Yeah,
So,
beautiful.
I focused on the important
Yeah, I can
stuff.
see. I
What I
could.
was doing.
Could see why based on the pictures.
So here's a fun one.
Look at that.
Okay, these are posts. Okay,
What is
that's a
that?
capybara. That's the world's largest rodent.
I was gonna say that
That
had a
one was
very rat
probably
look.
140 pounds.
Charming.
I tried to say hello. There's a smaller one. This one's probably about 115, and
Wonderful.
the one back.
100-pound rodent. Okay.
Yeah. So well, here's the funny thing. So Budo TV, these guys said,
Yes.
"Hey, we're gonna do an interview." All right, no problem.
Okay.
So they take me to a wildlife refuge,
Ah.
which is really cool. That's where these things were. But there was something else there. Let me get to the sign. The important part. Oh yeah, look at that.
Charming. Yeah, you want to go here for an
Yeah, I'm like,
interview?
yeah, like I did a post. I was like,
Yeah,
hey,
I'm
I'm
like,
hoping that
maybe
one of
not.
my guys go, hey, listen, if you got to wrestle a gator, my money's on you. I'm like, thanks for the vote of confidence, but.
Yeah.
And Maria says hello, thank you, thank you,
Hi, Maria. Yeah.
and whomever Facebook user is, hey, thanks for saying hello. So, wow, we got 28 people watching so far.
Yeah, wow, 28. Oh, because you got
28.
some little over here, a little over there.
Yeah. I throw it all
Yeah,
over the
that's a
place.
good. Yeah, it's a good way to do it. I think spread it out so
All right.
people on different.
So let's get into this. So, I'm going to let you take point because it's going to be kind of you survived. Yes, I did survive. I did survive the gator. We were talking about some stuff, and you have some questions. We thought some things. So I'm gonna let you do a little Q&A, or we'll do a little Q&A if anyone has anything. So the deans thought it was a good idea, and why don't you tell me what you tell the viewers?
So actually, a couple things came to mind. One, just how to be more confident, and when you're doing a seminar, and like in anything else, it's a skill set. Unless you were just gifted with communicating people that you don't know in an open room where you have to kind of move and see everybody and touch base visually and all that. To me, that's a skill set that needs to be developed and refined and what have you. And so, what came to mind, the reason why I thought this would be a good discussion is, now that I've been doing more seminars, I'm thinking like, wow, how can I get better at presentation? How can I be more just stuff like that. In conjunction, the other show I'm going to do on that, I don't want to digress here, but I'm just mentioning this quickly and we'll get back to what we're talking about, is seminar planning. Like you're bringing someone in, and that could be a very big chore to take on and task, and can be overwhelming and stressful.
And we've talked about that multiple times, but I have no problem talking about it again and tying it into this. I just shared this to FMA discussion, by the way.
Oh, I already did. I'm sorry.
Okay, good. All right, no problem. Well, then we got two of them going there. It's all good.
Oh,
So, all right. So what's your first question on this? What would you?
So, again, okay, good. Don't be offended, but I'm going to decline because it's already in here. Okay.
Yeah, no. I'm going to tell you to decline it because,
But, so basically, what I'm thinking is, like, for instance, again, when I was speaking in terms of like, this is a skill set to be developed, unless you're just gifted with talking in front of people and able to communicate eye contact while you're physically demonstrating. I mean, it's one thing to be in front of a podium, audience out in front of you and all that, but when you're actually demonstrating something and trying to captivate everybody and visually making sure you got eye contact, I mean, I think there's just more involved, frankly. And so one of the things I want to talk about is how to develop that, how to get good at it, and kind of go into some sub areas. For instance, like, hey, I feel like I'm losing the crowd here. Okay, what can I do? How can I shift gears and while maintaining and not seeing the stress on your face, maintaining composure, if you will. So I guess, like, first is like, when you started doing seminars and all that, did you find it initially challenging to draw the audience and kind of lead them and keep them captivated, or was it a working progression like anything else?
So I was with some of my guys this weekend. They said, listen, I've been around you for 30 years and you keep getting better all the time at teaching, because and we should always
It's
be
a
getting
skill
better.
set. It should be refined. It should be
Right.
improving. I absolutely.
I was doing fighting tonight with my guys.
Okay.
And I hadn't fought in a while. My body's getting where, I'm 68, and you saw me walking around hobbling before recently.
Oh, and New Hampshire. Yeah.
Well, I've had 100 cc's take on my leg, and I'm moving a lot significantly different.
Okay, he said the fluid. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Hi,
So,
he's somebody I should be getting on the show, huh?
yeah, he's one of the Terrell is one of the DOS guys in the States.
All right, Terrell, if you're interested.
There you go. So there's that one. If you'll get it.
No,
Hey, Terrell,
I
just
don't want to
inbox him.
assume folks just want to they're just dying to come on FMA discussion. You know what I mean?
Why would they do that? They're
You
here.
know, I mean, it's,
No, actually, I encourage it. You should have Terrell
yeah,
reach out to Dean. It'd be a good PR thing for the club and
yeah,
the art. So
definitely.
now let's put things in perspective here. It wasn't that hard for me because I grew up in performing arts.
Okay.
So I would like
When you say, all right, I'm sorry, not to interrupt. When you say performing arts,
which I
that
was
you
about
grew
to
up in.
get into. So
Okay.
about seventh grade. Wait,
Mm,
yeah, seventh grade, church choirs, choruses. When I got into high school, plays and musicals. I did a little dinner theater. So I was constantly. I used to be a competitive skater, roller skater. Um,
okay. Okay.
I used to BMX race a lot with friends. I used to do a lot of competitive things like Manassas is here. Hey, how you doing? So I would. So as a young child,
Mm,
we did slot cars, we did RC cars, we did all this stuff. But I actually would, roller skating, skateboarding, bicycles, and actually in all those realms,
yeah.
I would compete. So like
Okay.
there was competition. I was a swimmer in high school too, or a swimmer in school. So I was a lot of times I was put in a place where I was out there in front of the crowd, and I could make myself look like a fool based on my performance.
Okay.
So for me, when you're always in that spotlight because of that, whether I was featured or I was support,
Mm,
whether I was the QB or the third string guy. It doesn't matter. I wasn't football, but just using that as an example. Every member of the team is important.
yeah.
And sometimes I was the front man. Other times I was support. You
Yeah.
know, but the whole thing is you're constantly doing things. I used to hang out with a b-boy group. And I used to perform with them. They had me do skating stuff with them when they were doing the b-boy stuff.
Okay.
So constantly out there in the public eye. So because of that, I'm not saying I don't get nervous or apprehensive,
Mm,
but I really don't sweat this stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, to me, I don't let it get to me, because here's the way I look at it. And what was that? I thought you were going to say
mm.
that you spent a lot of time in front of the crowd in a Speedo.
I I think people would like to see that.
No, no, that almost sounds like Renee. Just for the record, that sounds like Renee.
Oh, jeez. Oh, D-Man's Renee?
I wonder. It sounds like Renee.
Oh no, I can't see Renee hiding himself like that. I
So,
mean, could,
no,
but
but he could, but oh, he pranked me once recently, and then
yeah,
yeah, so it could happen.
could
Nope.
happen.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. All right. All right.
All
So
right, all right. Yeah, yeah, because again, who I'm referencing here, usually leaves always leaves really nice comments on the interview. So I didn't think it was Renee either. So
yeah. So I'll have to look this later. There's someone allegedly teaching Filipino martial arts in a Taekwondo school, and my friends sending me videos of them, like they showed me their form. I'm like, nope, that's BS. You know what?
no.
Okay, hey, Ferdy, how you doing, brother? You know what annoys me on a side tangent
Dave,
thing?
he just sent me a message. What was his name? David Doherty.
Okay, all right.
Are you
My
familiar?
problem is, I, I don't care if you're Taekwondo, karate, jujitsu, whatever, and you're going to add stick forms to your
Mm,
system.
yeah.
Don't call it Kali. Okay, here's the thing. First of all, Kali is a term the Americans use. It's not a Filipino term. You could use a
We're
screamer.
digressing.
There's still not a screamer sticks, and we can say there are knee sticks, and a lot of times we say our
Yeah.
knee sticks. But you know what? At the end of the day, okay, it's like food. You know what we
Right.
call buffalo wings in Buffalo? We call them wings. Do you know
Mm,
what we call Filipino martial arts sticks in Filipino martial arts? We call them sticks.
yeah.
So if you want to do a form and say, this is our stick form, call it stick form 1, call it stick form 2. Do not call it kali, especially when you're taekwondo. And I said taekwondo, not taekwondo. When you're doing this martial art bullshit, don't make this stuff up. Uh-oh, what's this? I use Kalimutan.
We're digressing here.
Okay, so anyways, I'm sorry, because
no worries.
Somebody just sent it to me. So okay. So anyways, so if you're not used to being in front of a crowd, you need to be in front of a crowd.
That's my thing. Like, I mean, like anything else, unless you have this incredible innate skill set, I mean, it's going to need to be like anything else. You just got to be nurtured, refined, and obviously that
I would say
through
doing public speaking courses and stuff like that. If you don't have the opportunities, maybe volunteer. Okay, I was a youth counselor in my church. I never got involved with it as far as speaking in my church.
Okay.
But it's not to say I couldn't have had a role where I was up in front of people. But once again, in my church, I told you I was part of the church choir. So for me, but I mean, and I can't. I've trashed my voice long ago, so I don't have the chops I used to. I mean,
when you say trash your voice, you mean through the years?
Yeah. I mean, listen, your voice is an instrument, and I get this vocal fry.
Okay.
Like Paula makes fun of me. Tim talks like this sometimes, and because I don't take care of my voice, sometimes it comes out like this, and I have a little rasp at the end of the day. Especially when I get going a little louder and all this other stuff. I haven't practiced singing. And the thing here is, when I used to sing, I mean, you'll find me karaokeing with the guys every now and then at an FMA event. And I usually surprise people on what I can do because they don't expect it. But I am not the quality singer that I used to be, because I could hear the tone better. I can hear things, but I don't hear it in my head the same way. So sometimes I'm a little flat here and there. I've actually videoed myself singing just on my smartphones just to see where my skill set is at the moment. I'm like, I'd have to do a lot of work to get back to where I was, it's been decades since I've done that. But the thing here is, it's not the singing, but I did learn how to project properly and stuff like that. But the singing wasn't the thing. It was the presentation. Probably the best thing I learned was I went to my theater instructor was the one that, I did the plays and musicals. He was always telling me, don't ignore the cheap seats. The people in the back, you need to reach out to them. So when I'm looking at the crowd, I don't look at the front row. I look at everybody.
Well, that's one of my comments I was making. Like, so instead of being in front of a podium where I got the audience right in front of me and I can project and I don't have to worry about visual. I mean, when you're in a room, like for instance, let's use New Hampshire, for example, a few months back in April when we were there, like like downstairs, we got the Fort Worth. I mean, like, you have to make a point where you're rotating just so you can see everybody and that nobody's feeling left out because you're just talking, to one direction in there. And so much to your point, like, you better reach the back too,
Teaching in the round, a lot of, when I teach in my club, I tell everyone where they're going to be. You go there. But at the seminar, if you got people behind you, you might want to say, hey, you guys, why don't you come over on this side?
Yeah. Or if it's just they can't maneuver, you're going to have to make a conscious point where you're going to have to maneuver.
So where I was teaching this weekend up in Canada, I did 2 day. I did 4 seminars in 2 days, and it was good. And it was it's a multi-purpose room, but there's a theater in there with a stage. So I taught from the stage area. I wasn't on the stage. I was in front of the stage.
Gotcha.
So I had all my gear there. And usually if I find a wall, I put my gear on the wall, and that's where I teach from.
Okay.
But sometimes I'm in the middle of the room, because then here we go. It gives me access to people I wouldn't normally have access to. Because, some people like to sit in the back, or what I've always thought was funny. I think it should be backwards. Some of the traditional systems, the higher rank people sit in front and the lower rank in back.
Yeah.
If anything, it should be the other way around. the lower the rank should be front row center, and the more
Mm,
skilled people should be further. Actually, personally, I like watching when okay. So I on the way home from the seminar yesterday, Jeff
okay.
Speakman, an old acquaintance of mine, was teaching a seminar in Canada, and
Okay.
I went up and did like 3 hours of the workshop. I most of the time was coming from the back because I like that farther perspective. Sometimes
Yeah.
you're too close to the action and you see too much, or you don't see enough. So, but I mean, personally, you know, I like. I mean, I try to force people into a certain spot, so it's easier for me to, um, manage the room.
Got it.
And what we got here? What did hey from Thomas? Okay,
Your comments coming in.
yeah. May I ask a question regarding coming back to the art now after many years, but am in a wheelchair? Okay. Sure. Okay. I'm not afraid of public speaking, but I long adopted the attitude that the audience is interested in what you say or do teach. Yeah. Two, what you're teaching is a value.
That definitely is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't argue that.
Yeah. And that, so there is if people are having you in, they want to hear from you.
Yeah.
There's no question about that. Which takes off some of the heat. I think, first of all, you got to know what you're talking about. You shouldn't teach outside what you know. A lot of people, if someone asks, like I'll have people come up and ask me blade stuff. I don't avoid
Yeah.
blade stuff, but I'm very particular on what I do. So I don't like teaching offensive knife fighting.
Mm,
I like teaching defensive tactics against the blade,
okay.
but you need to understand how the offensive capability of that tool.
Imagine that. You mean you gotta learn defense without not understanding the offense?
There you go. Hey, Chris.
Madness.
Well, so I have some kickboxers, fitness kickboxers in my club,
Yeah.
and
Was that Chris Chu?
yes, that was. Yeah, here, Chris. Yep, here we go. Put it back on. There you go.
Hey, Chris, we're gonna be in touch regarding pops. So
Evidently, they were all down at the Blade Show this weekend because they popped up in my feed.
Chris was. I didn't see Uncle Bruce.
Oh, no, but I think Gladys was there and some other people.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I was looking at Chris Crow's mate, and they popped in on one of them.
Yeah.
When they went by Vulpus.
It looked like it's a spectacular show. So
yeah, I've been there. It's fun. It's just bad timing for me this year. I don't like the bally song people. They flip their blades around near everybody, and it annoys me in case it flips off your finger and hits somebody.
That could be an issue.
Yeah. So I was talking, like I said, we were talking to one of the girls in the club, and they're talking about, oh no, I'm like, oh, we're doing gun and stick and knife defense. Okay. So I passed on the gun, but I went to the stick and knife and go, so you teaching you the angles of attack? Oh no, it's completely self-defense. I'm like, well, to me, that's fairly irresponsible. Well, what do you mean?
Yeah.
How do you teach the defensive tactics against a weapon you don't know how it works?
Yeah.
Like, if someone was to ask me, Tim, okay, I am fairly competent with a firearm.
Yeah.
I'm fairly knowledgeable with there. And when I say fairly,
yeah,
it means I know more than probably 80% of the community out there.
Okay.
Not the firearms community.
Right.
Our community. I've been shooting since I was 5 years old. My father was a state trooper with 100 acres of property. I started with a 22 long bolt action. I worked up from there. I'm pretty good with a firearm. I'm better with a long gun than a short gun, but you know what? And when I use my shotgun, I shoot it like a long gun. I'm very surgical with it. And the reason why I practice to be like that is because I have a Remington 870 extended magazine, tritium sights. I use slugs because I have dogs and I want to shoot around my dogs if I had to. So I don't want shot. And so I got very, very, very focused on using it like a long gun. I don't now if I use the tactical shot, it would be outdoors. And anyone who wants to use tactical shot, and you have multiple opponents, here's my advice to you: shoot at the ground in front of them and let it spread. Because it doesn't spray like the movies unless it hits something. You shoot it on the you deflect it off the ground, and that probably comes with my billiards background. Then that changes things. But I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But get legal advice from your area. So I told the person, I was telling the girl, like, listen, I teach people how to use a knife, how a knife works and how a stick works. So you have to do this. Now, if someone asked me what I would do against the firearm, I would show them what I would personally do, but I wouldn't teach them. Because first thing I would do is, and I have these, we would have to teach them how to shoot. So I have the T4Es, which is it's a marker system. So I have the Walther PPQ. I used to have a Glock-alike, but I gave that to one of my guys. I got to get a new one. It shoots paint, chalk, and rubber rounds.
All right.
I use it in my school all the time for me. I will not show someone how to defend against the firearm until I've properly showed them how to use the weapon, and that opens up a lot of live oaks. I have a lot of teens and kids that will never touch that thing.
Yeah.
You know, I want parental advice, and I don't want people. And we're not going to have the. And the thing here is like, well, when you're teaching a seminar, you have to look about overcoming objection before it even happens. So one of the things I talked about, we were talking about so I was doing my defensive tactics against edge weapons program.
Okay.
So the EDT course, I have this template I teach, whatever, and one of the things I talked about is that, listen, if I have a firearm and I have the distance, and we talked about the 21-foot rule, I would prefer to go to a firearm than I would engaging. The EDT is if someone's armed, I want to be armed better. Yeah. My mindset is not, I'm going to fight them unarmed. My thing is, I'm not fighting anyone. I'm defending myself. So, Dean, if you and I got into it, I would never grab for a weapon unless you were to grab for one. Because my mindset is, I don't want to use lethal force. Now, you come after me. You're just Dean off the street, Detroit Dean.
DD from Detroit.
Double D's coming after me. Whatever. Double D comes after me with a knife. Oh shit, I'm worried about that. But if you got something, I want better. That's why we train. Yeah. We want the advantage on the street in case something goes sideways.
Right.
So when we're talking, I talked about the weapon system. That well, listen, if you're going to do this and you are armed, you keep I talked about footwork, but I said what supersedes footwork is if you carry a sidearm for personal protection or it's your profession. So that means as a righty, I would always keep my right back. We talked about shooting, and I go, listen, and we don't do this shooting in the air because if the bullet goes up, it's going to come down. And the shot doesn't stop people in the sound of one. Hey, Dean, how you doing? Or Dan Medina.
Oh, hey. DM Dan, who I'll be seeing this weekend.
Hey, good luck with that. Let me know how it goes, too.
Yeah. Oh, with these guys, I mean, GM Dan, and I'm sure.
Yeah. So
we got really off track. We got really off track here.
So I had a lot of things off ahead of time. We talked about firearm stuff. I got that ahead of time before we got in the center. So the thing here is when controlling a seminar, you almost need to control the questions before they are asked. And and I said, I'm not nervous. I'll teach with anyone. I mean, there's no one out there that intimidates me that I'm worried that, oh my God, let's put the easy one down. Okay. Tim, would you teach with Danny Inosanto? Sure.
Yeah.
Would I be scared? No, but I'd want to do a good job because I know it's a
of course
it's a unique crowd.
Yeah.
But I know in my mind, everyone in the room would learn something good from me. I know I could do that. There's no doubt in my mind that I could step up and teach with Inosanto.
Yeah.
Because to be honest with you, he he's not intimidating. He's very good. He's very flashy. I'm going to teach a lot slower from his compared to what he does from his seminars.
Yeah.
I'll guarantee you that the people will learn a higher percentage of material, or they'll be able to retain a higher percentage. It's
No, those formats are very difficult because he's going to a crowd of people who are following him to get to instructorship.
Yeah,
So it's a whole different aspect with dance sound seminars. But much to your point before, the whole aspect of being nervous and that. And to me, it's like, for instance, I'm going to use the example of me, this upcoming weekend in North Carolina. Now, I'm going to tell you something. If this was a year ago or 2 years ago, I'm going to be honest, I would be a heck of a lot more nervous. But because I've been doing some things, the discussion platform, talking to people a few times a week, all that kind of compiled together has definitely helped with me being a little more assertive, a little more confident, and better to relay information. But again, 2 years ago, I don't know if I would feel the same way as now.
Well, I mean, okay, let's put it on the bare minimum. What did I say before? Do some public speaking. This is public speaking.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm getting ready.
and this is the worst. This is the worst because we know when it comes to critics, they will say all this stuff when you're not around.
Yeah, and so far, Kurt's been
there we go. Jackie says you taught Dean, you taught well when I saw you in Florida.
Oh, I really appreciate that, Jackie, because I was so whether to go into the dark side of the knife. But I said, you know what? What we do? So thank you, Jackie.
Here's the things that you see now. When I was teaching in Brazil, in both seminars, there was law enforcement there.
Okay.
So I made sure that I was preempting a lot of questions and stuff that we were going to be doing. So one of the things that they hate doing in law enforcement is just doing knife disarms off your body.
Yeah.
And I get it because they don't pull reps the way to. We as martial artists pull thousands and thousands more reps than they'll ever.
Especially if we're teaching a system that we believe in. You better believe, or we should have done thousands or reps, or you know what I mean. But
and after the academy, most law enforcement officers don't do any physical training. They're doing shooting.
They're not continuing their education. No. I mean. Yeah, very few are proactive and being better on the job. And I get it. I mean, you're throwing kids in there and, I mean, I'm not saying it's easy. But
listen, one of my guys worked a double, came to the school to burn off some energy. While he's there, they called him back in. Now he just worked a double.
Yeah.
So they don't have time to do all this. And when people, so here's my little thing. When people, if any of you are on here, you're going to hear it. When everyone started bitching about defund the police, let me tell you something. We saw what happened. And anything, you need to invest in them so we get better candidates. We need to get them better training. The sad thing here is a friggin' dealer at a casino is treated better than law enforcement.
It's terrible.
You've been dealing for 2 hours. Time for you to take a break so you don't make a mistake dealing and cost us money. But some guy, a law enforcement officer, rolls up, a family of 4 gets wiped out in a car accident. Then they go to a domestic dispute right afterwards, and they don't get any downtime. And if they're lucky and they've got extra hands on deck, their CO might say, hey, listen, take the rest of the day off. But that doesn't happen. And then all these things happen, and then they pull someone over for speeding or talking on the phone, and then everyone's like, "Why are you such a mean person to me?" Because you have no clue. And you know what? And I feel bad for the person that drew the short straw, But I'm like, but then you get the whole thing is, why is this person giving me a shit? They pulled me over for speeding, the damn cop. Wait a minute, are you mad at them for you breaking the law? Yeah, is that what you're really telling me? So.
It's terrible.
So when I'm teaching them, we have to understand their restrictions. We have to understand their needs and their restrictions, So when I'm teaching, I'm always talking about different things. And like one quick one is, if you ever talk about footwork, and if you just say this has gotten me so much creds, because I do know what I'm talking, but I'm going to give you a nice thing here. All you got to do is say, hey, listen, this is the footwork we do. Now, if any of you carry a firearm for personal protection, or it's your profession.
Yeah.
Carry the weapon side back. You tell them that. Keep your weapon system away from the person. Use terms of this nature. They're going to know that there are needs of people that are different than what you're teaching. And as martial artists, and especially as martial art instructors, we have to adapt to the needs of the people and the environment we're doing things. So I remember there was an interview and someone asked Gahe about changing the system. He goes, "Oh no, the system's fine the way it is." No, it isn't. You take Bikini Tertia, taking machete techniques, basically, bring it to the States. Not everyone's doing machete techniques. People are bigger. They've got more clothing on, that acts like armor. And even Guy's techniques have changed based on the environment and the people they were working on. So we know a system is derived by the people it's done and the environment and the opponents they're fighting. So when you change any of those factors, you have to adapt. So, and a lot of times we don't know how to adapt to the needs of the people in front of us. That's what gets us in trouble.
That's a good point. I mean, obviously you're going with a game plan, but also being flexible depending on who's in the crowd and all that, and making, obviously your information not just, one, clear and explicit, but one that's somewhat digestible and all that. But getting back to your, okay. So as you, obviously, as you start doing more and more, and you were going on, and Mike Rainman, hey, brother Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, good guy, Mike. Big guy. But so obviously, like anything else, I mean, you have so many seminars under your belt, and and so forth. What did you have like initial setbacks in the beginning, or were there, or did you have to overcome certain deficits and improve upon them? And if so, what were they?
So first of all, I was teaching martial arts seminars before I was a black belt.
Okay, so that was helpful. Okay.
Yeah, so and I screwed up because I was a young kid who didn't know what the hell he was talking about. I was a very naive kid. I was in my early 20s teaching seminars to people who were doing martial arts.
That's a big feat, though, for that age,
Nobody was doing Arnis and art. Well, no. There was a need for Arnis, and not many people were committed to the craft by itself. Not as big as my son, though.
I know. His son is like, and Mike can correct me, I think he's 7 feet tall, 300 pounds or something. And
that's why we have Smith and Weston.
and he's not overweight. I mean, from what I saw from
he's just a beast.
Pretty streamlined, and I think he boxes too. Yeah, scary.
Oh, wow.
Just scary.
That sucks. I mean, it's good for him, terrible for us.
Yeah, I know. Imagine running into that. I'd be like,
actually, we're nice guys, so we won't have a problem with that.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, man, I know. That's crazy. Yeah.
So, like my setbacks were that I was constantly, it was foot and mouth disease.
Yeah, but you're young. I mean, you know what, though?
Yeah.
I think you get a pass at 20 years old. You're doing that. I mean, it's one thing, you're in your 40s and you're trying to overcome that. I think that's an issue,
So, and some of my problems today is people remember things that happened decades ago. And I'm like, that was decades ago.
You can't.
Am I the same person? Yes, but I've evolved. And when I say the same person, I consider myself a good guy. I don't consider myself, now I've my bullshit meter or my bullshit filter has changed, but at the end of the day, I still like helping out people. I offer assistance a lot, and advice. I mean, hell, if this here we go with this show. Think about this. When we talk about stuff, when we did the episodes on FMA discussion about owning a business, everybody who watched it got the benefit, whether they liked me or not.
Oh, come on. Absolutely. There was some good information.
Shared that information with everybody.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that. I was talking to Tom Pena, who does interviews for me, and we're talking, and I was kind of just being honest. I said, you know what? FMA discussions put money in people's pocket. Whether people want to admit that or not, it is put money in their pockets. A, advertising seminars. B, getting teaching opportunities because we have them on. People like their stuff. They content them. They get students. You know what I mean? And I'm glad for that. And
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah.
And we were talking, Greg, I can never remember the CLOC guy, Greg Picardo. No,
Greg Bichardo. Yeah.
Greg Pichardo.
Yeah.
Terrible pronouncing names. Him, Nathan trains there as well with him, and they're saying, man, like I remember I think it was the first symposium after COVID, New Hampshire symposium. He goes, man, we took your advice about wearing uniforms, like they're all wearing the same T-shirt and stuff. Oh my God, a huge difference, Tim.
See?
Thanks for that. That alone was huge.
See, uniformity. See,
yeah. I mean, you look part of a team.
No, I mean 100%. Yeah, and when you see them come, they come. Yeah, it's I agree.
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing here, like, there's a lot of information out there. We've shared all this stuff, and the thing here is, like I said, I consider myself a decent guy, and I haven't changed, but certain things I'm more confident on certain aspects.
Yeah.
Probably as far as a seminar instructor goes, here's the biggest when it comes to technique.
Okay.
Here's my biggest advice. Do not trust the people to know what they're doing. I cannot tell you how many times that I've gone to a Filipino martial art group that tells me, oh, no, we can handle this shit. And the karate guys did a better job than they did at their own genre.
So with that being said, when you're going in there, do you then teach the lowest common denominator?
I do. I teach the basics and the fundamentals because, here's the thing. I don't mind. Okay. And I might not sit there and say, I'm going to teach you the angles of attack. Listen, when it comes to the angles of attack, here's a big hint. I'm going to hit you on the right side of the body. I'm going to hit you on the left side of the body. I'm going to hit you in the front. I'm going to hit you on the top.
Yeah.
The difference is going to be from that high, middle, and low. You can make those adjustments. The leg shots, those are the most dynamic difference when it comes to defense.
Yeah.
So you just need to get used to adapting to the levels, but really, whether you do a 5-strike system or a 64-strike system, they're going to hit or stab you on the right.
Yeah.
They're going to hit or stab you on the left.
Yeah.
They're going to do the same in the front and then the top. Now, could they come up too? If we go like when I do my Bondo, we talk about both lines. We go down and up, down and up. So, I mean, because now we're talking different things and it's more of a study of movement that helps everything. And Mike says, amen. Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother Mike.
Yeah, he's a good, you know what? He's somebody you should, you're close. I think you guys are pretty close, I think, in area.
I'm going to look him up right now on Facebook here.
You guys.
Hamlin, New York. I don't know where that is, but you know what I'm going to do? Mike, I just sent you. Are you Michael? Okay, that's Mike Raymond. There's also a Michael Raymond, but I just sent you a friend request.
Yeah, you two, you guys should do like a seminar together or something like that. I don't think you two are far.
We know each other, Mike? Yeah. Could we possibly know each other? Oh, then here we go. Gary Hernandez. And awesome. Good. Cool.
So yeah, you should definitely, you know what? I'm going to tell you what right now. You keep talking. I'm going to form a group message.
He just said awesome when I said okay, but I can do that too.
I'm doing it right now. So keep going. I'm listening.
I'm looking to see where Hamlin, New York is. So what I do is I do not overestimate the people in front of me. I would rather start them low.
Okay.
Because I can always shift gears. Like I said, I won't necessarily do all the angles of attack. Like I said, just using an example. Oh my God, he's not that far from me at all.
Matter of fact, I'm almost done with my group message to you. I didn't think he was. You should do something together.
That's a chip shot. Yeah. That's cool. All right.
Yeah, I just sent it to both of
you. From Wallaceburg. Oh, sorry, I missed you when you were on. Who is this Facebook user? Because I don't know.
Where's Wallaceburg?
That was where I was teaching in Canada this weekend. So basically, if build a foundation, the rest will fall in place. Yep. Basically, Wallaceburg is like Sarnia. It's almost in Detroit.
Oh, so just okay. So you're just above. I got
Just
you.
the other
Okay.
side of the. Yeah, I mean, I'm being vague for where you're coming from. It's the other, like Sarnia and Detroit are opposite of each other. It's kind of a little in and a little up, So, not too far away. Not too far
Okay.
away. Yeah. So, like I said, on more than one occasions, I have given people way too much credit, or people told me that they're going to do a lot better, and I listened to them, and my mindset is rather give me a topic, and I'll
Okay.
get us there, and I'll start slow, and I can shift gears quickly if all is good. If someone they're doing well. Oh, Tim Dobson. Hey, Tim, how you doing, brother?
Yeah, I like what you're saying there. I mean, like for instance, if you're noticing that these guys are getting it, I mean, obviously you obviously have the ability to change it up like you just mentioned.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing I wanted to ask too.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about your early challenges, but you're 20 years old. I mean, but when you started doing more over time, like what were you seeing that you were greatly improving on? And was that improvement noticeable by the audience's feedback or what you were seeing in their faces? I mean, how did you tell?
So, okay, because you asked, I will answer. And I at the risk of sounding egotistical. So I'm talking about the feedback that I was getting because you're asking me the question.
Yes.
What I was told from a very early stage is that I had a very clear and defined progression.
Okay.
Everything made sense, everything connected, and no matter what I grab out of the air and do something, I just tie everything together. It could be any topic because I've been doing this for decades. Okay. Yeah. So I know the craft. So that the first thing here is if you're going to teach, know what you're going to teach. Yeah, know it inside and out. Do not go on the don't go listen, if someone asks for something you don't have, tell them you don't have it. Be honest with them. Once again.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't try to, God forbid, on the scene try and make something up. I mean,
I can do blade work, but when I use blade work, like knives specifically, it is to enhance. It's an enrichment program for my open hand combatives. So someone's having a problem with an elbow, so I'll put a knife in a back grip, and I'll work cutting through the target. Because sometimes when people hit a target, they stop. Now, we also have, how OCD I am for having labels for everything.
Yeah.
3 ways to hit the target: hit at, hit in, hit through. And sometimes putting a prop like a knife in the hand and cutting through it, like just cut through it, like you're taking the head off. Yeah, decapitate him. Get that zombie head off there.
They're getting a good mechanic on elbowing. Gotcha.
So I like using blade work for open hand enhancements and enrichment program. I say this a bunch of things, and thank you very much, Mike. Amen on the teaching formula, on that teaching formula. So what I'll do is I tell people this all the time. Listen, a stick is the same as a blade. A blade is the same as the stick if you're training it. But if you do a stick all the time and put up, okay, so if you're looking at a toolbox in a garage, what tool in the box in the garage do you think closely resembles the stick, the use of the stick?
Hammer.
Thank you. So if we're going to talk a blade, what's a tool that? And thank you, Mike said the same thing.
Hammer.
That's why we have that delay so we can get our words in first. So what would you say a blade would be?
There's something in a toolbox equivalent to the blade?
Yeah.
Not obviously including an X-Acto knife. That would
Doesn't have to be in a tool box, like something that would be in your garage, your tool shed.
In my tool shed.
Yeah.
That resembles a blade.
That works like a blade.
That works like a blade. First of all, I don't have a tool shed. So I got to be transparent there.
Or
but
your
I'm trying to think
garage,
what would
basement,
be
whatever.
What would be in a garage that would resemble the use of a blade?
So Facebook user says screwdriver. That's something we drink later. He goes flathead. And when we talk blade, I'm going to talk more, well, all blades, but I'm thinking more ganuntings, talabongs, barongs.
Yeah, I got you. Sword, something over 20 inches.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I'm thinking cutting weeds, but obviously that's a blade, so I can't use that for the answer.
I got good ones here. So someone said axe, not what I'm going for, but that's going to be a relevant thing in a moment. We have a pruning knife, machete, garden shovel. All right, I'll give it to you. To me, a blade is a saw. Because when I use a saw, when I put the saw on the blade on the target, I cut. What does a saw do? It cuts. Okay.
But if you come from a heavy, I'm so influenced as of late by these other systems.
Yeah.
Are so thrusting oriented, which I think is great.
Yeah, I get it. So the screwdriver wasn't a bad one. The ice pick. So, but here's the thing. Now let's go back to the axe. This is very important. Okay, so when I put a blade on a body, I slice.
Okay.
And I should have said, as a knife is a cutting versus a stabbing tool. And that's on me.
I'm thinking stabbing. So when you said saw,
right. And now here's I just learned another way to say it, because I ask this question a lot. I go, a knife has two primary uses. One is to stab, another is to cut. Mm-hmm. So if we're using it as a cutting tool, what tool in your toolbox or shed or whatever? So it saws, because you put the blade, you don't.
Yeah, I can see the correlation. Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the axe. Mm-hmm. If I'm always using a stick, okay, I'm hitting the target as a hammer. Then you put this blade in your hand. You're not going to magically change the way you use it if you haven't trained it. You would do a hammering motion with a blade.
Yeah, that's all you know. That's what's going to come out of you.
And then you get the axe. Well, what happens when you put an axe into a target?
Into the target, it's going to bring you into because of the weighted end. And if you don't make sure when it's coming down, you're going to hit your own leg.
It also gets stuck.
Well, it gets stuck. That's what I mean. It's going to pull.
Right.
Yeah.
Boom. So you don't want to use a machete or sword or whatever and have it get stuck in a target. You want to make sure that you're not going for that same level of penetration, unless you're trying to decapitate or take a limb off. So the thing here is, when you got people saying it's all the same, and Facebook user, thanks for saying hello, but we don't know who you are because you're not on one of the pages that you're liked or whatever. So, or a member of, I'm assuming is probably what it is. So please let us know who that is. Yeah. So when you switch tools,
right,
you get a different effect if you don't change the method of using the tool. So that's why when I'm doing things, getting back to them, go, how do we go down the rabbit hole? It's not the rabbit hole. It's describing how when I use blade work, it's to enhance what I'm doing. And a lot of times when people say, oh, a stick is the same as the blade, they're right, but they're completely wrong if you don't practice.
Yeah, I've always disagreed with that. But much to your point, if you make the separation on mechanics and all that, right. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And that's why I want to make sure that when I do things, so I know I could use a stick and use it like a blade in my training without picking up a training sword, but I've pulled so many reps with blades and training swords that I can pull that off. So if your stick breaks and you saw it down and go, look, it's a dagger. No, you've got a screwdriver now. You've got an ice pick now. If it's a wooden dowel, my first training blade was a Japanese wooden tanto, because they didn't make shit back then. So, but I still knew where the cutting side was, where the
right. You still could, I mean,
where the hand was supposed to be. So we have to make sure that when we're teaching, we have a tool that represents. And let's throw another thing. If you're teaching, and this happened over at one of at a friend's of ours, actually the co-host that's not here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was hosting an event.
Yeah.
and a person was doing a little C-lot and brought some sickles, commas, basically,
Mm.
and he wanted us to do stuff. And like, okay, he brought 4. There was 30 of us there. You got to make sure that if you're going to do something and it requires a certain piece of equipment,
You
one
might
way or
wanna-
another, there's enough of that equipment there.
Or make the announcement, of course, to bring. Yeah.
Yeah, you should have everyone should have a pair of sticks. I
Yeah.
mean, usually when you go to a Filipino martial arts seminar, there's usually enough training knives and there's usually enough sticks to go around.
Yeah. Usually, that's safe to say. Yeah.
Yeah, usually, yeah. So, but you know, when I teach my blade work, I don't sit there and say I teach knife fighting
Mm.
because I don't, because I want to vet the person.
That's a whole nother. I mean, yeah. I mean, vetting people, and before you're teaching edge weapons. I mean, yeah.
And there was our debate. We had a debate once about this, and I won't mention his name, but he came up. Well, you know, my teacher, you know, I mean, said that you got a keys of a car, you get a driver's license, that's license to kill. But the thing here is, when I give my car key, I might want to go fast and do Fast and the Furious and stuff like that. But when I put this in my hand,
There's the intention.
the demeanor that this changed. I've seen you put this or a firearm in someone's hand,
Yeah.
and their whole demeanor changes significantly. Where a keys to the car, it's not the same.
Yeah, let's do this. Okay, so we're talking about floor generalship and all that. So, all right, let's kind of piggyback off, since we're kind of on knife, and use it as an example for your empty hand stuff. Pending the crowd and all that, knife can be tricky to teach.
Yes, it can.
You know what I mean? Like, matter of fact, one of the things I asked with this upcoming thing in North Carolina, I asked Guru Alec, I said, "There going to be any kids there?" He said, "No, teenagers." I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? Because to me, and me personally, I'm not cheating. If there's kids in the room, you know, it's not happening. You know what I mean?
No.
I'll find other material and all that. But I think part of the floor generalship, not just journaling the floor when you're there, but also knowing and taking consideration who's going to be there. You know what I mean? Who's your audience? You know what I mean? Are they just letting everybody come in? You know?
Yeah. And I don't mind teaching a stick, because I'm not worrying. I mean, it's just different. It's a different animal. I mean, anything we teach, people can abuse. There's no questions about that.
But it's just different, like you said. It's just different. Yeah.
You know. But you know, I think, you know, what do we got here? We don't teach Medusa to anyone under 18.
Yeah, I mean, case in point, like Mike just said. I mean,
you know, hold on one second. I gotta take care of something real quick.
All right. All right, I'll entertain. All right. So yeah, so folks went down a couple of rabbit holes and some slight digression. But at any rate, Ty was off tonight, so Dr. Tim asked me, "Hey, can you come on and think of something to talk about?" And I said, "Oh, hey, how about seminar? You know, when you're running on the floor, you're teaching, you know, how to keep everybody captivated. You know, what if you're starting to lose the audience? You know, what can you do? Do you shift gears and all that?" And that's what we're going to get into now when he gets back, like if it's ever happened to him.
Okay. So,
all right, I'm ready to, hey, all right. I just kind of cued the audience. Those maybe came in late, what the subject matter was and why we chose the subject matter. All right. Have you ever done, it could be in your early years, I mean, you know, whatever, where, regardless of where it was and what you were teaching, where you felt you were losing the audience? If this did happen, what did you do?
So I did have a problem. Okay. So I was at, we did a camp in Denmark.
Yep.
And I was trying to teach Balintwak. They wanted Balintwak.
Okay.
Hey, Paulo. And unfortunately.
Hey. That guy.
Yeah, that guy.
That guy.
So, unfortunately, well, actually, there's something I could have related to in Kombatan.
Okay.
That was very similar to Balintwak. and I couldn't do it. Bonjour. Oh, there's Justin. How you doing? Sparnando.
So you
And I tried to teach Balintwalk, and the crowd was not getting it at all. And then I thought about it overnight, and it was my weak session. Balintwalk is a very challenging system to teach people, to teach the masses. Okay, very challenging, even with the grouping systems. It's so one-on-one.
Okay. So without the group, so you're saying mine is grouping. It's more difficult without grouping.
Even grouping's hard.
Even grouping's hard in the math.
So
But Bobby, look at Bobby. He does it, or maybe, or you know what?
No. He doesn't teach the groupings in a seminar.
No, I just was to say I had him on yesterday, and I stand corrected. Yes, he does not teach the grouping.
He demonstrates the grouping.
Correct.
He'll teach techniques inside of the groupings.
Correct.
But you need to study with someone to learn the grouping.
Yeah. No, you're right. I stand corrected.
So I have a fast track program I was teaching them.
Okay.
And the problem was here we go. I'm in Denmark teaching Danish, Swedish, Finnish, Germans, Slovakians, Americans, Canadians. I mean, I had a huge group of people I was teaching.
So was this, I guess my question would be, why did you choose Balintawak when not going with modern?
I was asked to teach Balintawak.
That's why. Okay.
Oh, actually, I'm sorry. No, this was not that camp. I was teaching people from Sweden, Denmark, Finland, Spain, and no. Yeah, Spain. So there's 4 countries represented there. So it was rough because we didn't have and that's what we're talking about. Yes, a bunch could speak, because couldn't. Now I was just in Brazil teaching, and fortunately everyone who's brought me in has had a translator. But I can one-on-one and go, here, come here, and I can walk them through.
That was nice, though. Must have been extremely helpful.
Yeah. Okay. So I was told to do Balintawak.
See, that just, like, I don't know. I find that's all right. Well, I mean, they probably.
No, hey, what do you want? What do you want me to teach, Tim? Can you teach Balintawak? Sure, I can teach Balintawak. So then I thought about it overnight, and then there's the Pali Palit, which is a drill that's similar but different. But and once I related to them, oh my God, it was huge. Now, it was a Largo Mano drill, but it wasn't the drill, it was the mindset in the drill.
So was it a rough start that graduated into?
Yeah. Oh, then I was a rock star.
So what? Okay. So what? The transition from rough to where it was absolutely spectacular. What was it?
So basically, they're doing so Pali Palit does a strike where I strike you, and then you block and strike me, and I do the same thing back. But the higher level of it is, it's all random.
Okay.
So when you're doing the Balintawak feeding, so first level is Abecedarian Balintawak, which is like the basic set that Bobby teaches first. Abecedarian just means your fundamentals. Okay. So it's your angles of attack in numerical order. And there's multiple steps in it. First, you would feed the angles in order with the footwork. Then you'd feed it with a partner, and then they would block. They do the corresponding blocks as you feed, and they're moving forward and backwards because everyone's working on timing and distancing.
So
and then what would happen?
One step forward, one step back.
So I'm feeding you, and you're blocking. So so the first thing I'm doing is teaching you how to block. Then you block and respond.
Got it.
And your response is only to my head.
Okay.
So then what happens? I feed, you block and respond. I block your response.
Okay.
And then I feed you with another angle, and I block your next angle. And it goes back and forth. So level 1, which is, they may not call this all the same, but like this is from Punong Ted, who used to teach for Anshan, which was my teacher, by the way. Not Anshan. Punong Ted was my teacher, and he would teach for Anshan Bakan when he wasn't in the club. So Abecedario is what he called level 1, your fundamentals. Sagitas was level 2. same drill, but I
Mm.
randomly feed you and you block and come back to my head.
Okay.
So once I was able to make that connection, it was easy to teach people. And then I was able to do inserts from there.
All right. So rough start, but it looks like it.
Yeah. But that was
Okay.
the only topic. That was a specific topic they wanted. And I think the biggest problem was because of the multiple languages I was dealing with. And if I could have just dialed it in ahead of time and say, hey, listen, this is like your pali, but different.
Okay.
And
Here's a
then, oh,
question.
okay.
Here's a question for you. In that moment when you realized it wasn't going over well, was there an overwhelming like crap? What am I doing? Like, were you getting flustered? Were you
Oh,
like kind of
I was
panicking?
disappointed because I couldn't communicate to them properly. I didn't. I mean, it was like, yeah, no, that wasn't a good session. But at the same token, it is what it is. I didn't sweat it.
Okay.
Listen, I can't change what happened. I can
No,
only
no,
affect my.
I know you can't change what happened, but I'm just saying
Yes.
in that moment
Hey,
of
Chris.
time when you realized it wasn't going well, was there a panic? I mean,
Yeah,
did
no,
you
no,
shift
no. I
gears
just
quickly?
no. And like, and I've had some other things. Okay, you could use the stick to the shin to translate. Yeah, right. And brother Chris, there we go.
Yeah. Hi. Chris,
Um,
again, Chris, still waiting on you. Anytime you want to come on, green light.
oh, you know Chris Nally?
Yeah, yeah. So Chris,
I think he's gonna be. And Chris, are you gonna be down to see Dean this weekend? Because he's kind of down that way.
correct,
Because he's also a student of Bobby's.
correct.
So, um, it wasn't good. Well, okay, I'll flip it around. I taught in Italy, and this is the one the host was talking big on the people, and this was not the crowd. I had karate and taekwondo people. He'll be there Saturday. There we go.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah, I'll definitely be
we
seeing him then.
we
Yeah.
had a lot of people that had no clue, and see now when I was teaching this was a smaller seminar I did in Italy.
Mm.
It really upset me because the first thing I told everybody was there's an A side and a B side. Only choose what side you're going to do. Don't do both.
Yeah.
And of course, everyone did both.
Gotcha.
And then they got lost. And when the crowd does everything I tell them not to do, I put it on them.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm sorry. I told you. I told you again. I told you again. I made sure the interpreter told you twice. What did I tell you? Well, I want to learn the other side. No, learn this side. Is this your training partner? Yes. Is he or she going to be with you later? Yes. Then make sure you got the A side and they have the B side.
Okay.
So for those who may not do as much Filipino martial arts, or maybe in your system you don't have this, there are cycle drills, like I like to call, like sombrata, where everyone gets a turn automatically, or like hubud.
Yeah.
Or then there's an A-B drill, and I'll give you a really good example: boxing. I'm holding the mitts for you. You get to work. I'm coaching you. So that's what I look. And this was an A-B side, but both. It wasn't I'm coaching you. I'm giving you one stimuli. You're giving me a different stimuli, and we're both going to do our material, and then we're going to stop, and then we're going to switch sides.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
And after teaching in all these specific countries, or these different countries, do you find specific countries preferred different topics? Yes, like sparring, while some prefer double stick or knife. I really don't. I'll have people talk to me about sparring on the side, but that derails seminars. Generally, we don't do sparring seminars, which actually I want to do some. But generally that doesn't happen.
It can be done. It can be done. I'm going to just give an example in a muck,
Yep.
like under a muck, Tom Sotis. You know how things are started out before seminar or group class? It doesn't matter what the setting is, whether it's a group class or seminar. Guess what? You're picking up a knife and you're moving around somebody regardless of their background, their experience, nothing. It's getting warmed up and you're moving around with somebody with a specific.
And here's my thing about sparring. You need to have a decent control of the room. And that's why if you don't have control and you don't do a bunch of sparring, but more importantly, you don't have control, then I wouldn't let people spar in a seminar. Because it can go
But it's very
sideways real fast.
outlined. Let me, for instance, okay, here, and I'm going from the muck.
I love sparring, by the way, Mike.
Yeah.
I was
I'm
doing some
going from
sparring
the
tonight.
muck methodology. Okay,
Yeah.
so all right, folks, grab your knock knife. You're going to move around with one another. Only target hand, body. So it's very specific.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the person that's going for your, obviously they're just in it. Then they probably shouldn't just be in the first place if they can't understand that basic, direction. Yeah. So that's it could be done.
So, Mike, let me know. It's all going to be based on schedule. I run a full-time Filipino Martial Arts school, and I have my seminars, which I was just in multiple cities this past weekend. But and by the way, you're more than welcome to come down to West Seneca, which is a suburb of Buffalo, right off the right off the thruway. By all means, come on down my way as well. So we have an open door policy. We welcome all styles, not just Filipino styles, but anyone wants to come down, you're always welcome to come on by. And if I like you and it's a long distance, I'll even, and I feel comfortable with you, I even got a couple spare bedrooms. So, long as the wife says it's okay. It's all about the wife. If she says no, then that means no. But listen, the SNS Fitness. Okay. What's SNS Fitness? Oh, finally, Renee says something. I'll come down by. There's no room for you, bud.
Hey,
you're always,
Renee,
Renee, you're always welcome.
When he comes down, let me know. I'll come up.
Oh, well, it was crazy, man. I was sparring tonight. My kids are good. My kids annoy me. They threw me off today.
The kids threw you off. Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh, I don't have children, but I got teenagers. They're just going into high school. They're 14-year-olds as tall as me or taller, and they like to hit. I'm like, I love you guys.
Yeah, and
I'm a second rounder. I mean, it's been so while. So
plus you're getting over your
I'm 58.
But 58, and you had that injury. So
yeah. Well, the good thing is they come and all of a sudden, like I said, they're all getting ready for a tournament. I just said, all right, let's do this. And then all of a sudden I started centerlining them, and I'm like, oh yes. And then we did.
Hey, let's repeat this. Hey, it's a martial. Oh, he's saying a martial. Okay. Huh.
Let me see. Is that where Jack Latour is at, by the way?
That could be where he does his stuff, actually. Fitness. I know he does something. It's pretty far up there.
Well, he's now teaching out of his basement because he converted that.
No, I know that, but when he does his seminars, it's a place that's kind of up by him, and I'm wondering if that's the place.
Oh, SNS Fitness and Martial Arts. There we go. That might be. I'm not sure. That may be the place I kind of. I didn't hook him up with, but we did a workshop, and he got hooked up with some people from stuff we were doing here.
Yeah, I don't know either, but I just know it's up there.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping. The reason being is when he was advertising going to school, I was hoping it was closer. It'd be nice to meet him, but then I looked at it, it was like just as far.
Cool. Hey, and I just got my tickets. Definitely send me a flyer because I'm going to Austria in July, and the people from Finland will be there, and I can let them know you're going to be there. Definitely do an electronic flyer as well, so I can ship that over to them. Let me see here. Yeah, unfortunately, let's just in general. Let's go from here. No problem, brother. Yeah, so you're about an hour and 20 minutes away from me. It's actually this side of Rochester. Yeah, I've got no problem. It just depends on the day and stuff like that, weekends. So, do you do stuff? Are you normally there, Mike, during the weekdays, or you're a weekend guy? So, but So, anyways, listen, when a seminar goes sideways, you cannot do anything about it.
Yeah, no, I'm not, and I know in that moment in time, you can't, I love the cold shirt. I went to that concert. Yeah, no argument here, Renee. That's my favorite album by them. But anyway, yeah. So no, I know you can't do anything in that moment. I'm more or less bringing this up where for future
How do you
tense, how
recover?
to avoid that. Like, you know what I
Well,
mean? For
one,
folks
how
that
do
are
you
listening,
recover? The first thing how you
not just
recover.
recover, but also how to avoid that happening again.
Well, first thing you do is you got to get through it because things go sideways. Okay, things go sideways. You just got to get the point. There's not a damn thing you can do about. Okay, the past is the past.
Yeah.
Whether it's 30 seconds or 30 years, you cannot change the past.
No, understood.
But
you can certainly have a play in not having it happen
you need
again.
to identify how you got there.
That would be the first, right?
Identify how you ended up there.
And so in your case, like if somebody's asking you to teach something that, maybe for a variety of reasons, it might not be the best thing to teach. I'm thinking the best thing to say is just no.
So what I tell people when they ask me for a topic, I'll say, I'll teach you pretty much anything, but just realize sometimes to get to B, you might have to learn A first. So I'm more than happy to teach you A.
Right.
So, and that's one of the things you need to know. And what does it take to get them going? Hey, Mr. Guido, what's up? Obviously the show. And then Mr. Guido is the one that was sending me some footage earlier that I'm like, what the hell? Started me on a tirade. So, what I would do is identify what happened.
Yeah.
How did it go sideways? Was it something you did? Was it overestimating the crowd? Was it the instructor or the host telling you that the crowd was more
or like maybe better prepared or knowledgeable than they really were?
Yeah. Well, listen, we all want to think our students can handle it. And here's what I say. Listen, my guys can handle anything. They can. But that doesn't mean they can do a deep dive in something. So the first thing I do is say, listen, there's really not a topic you can't teach them. They should be able to handle, but start with the ABCs. If you see they're struggling, stay there. If you see them progressing, shift gears.
Yeah, shift gears up. Sure. Yeah.
And the thing here is, a lot of times I find when there's an overreach on one side or the other. I've overreached. I taught at the the World Filipino Martial Arts gathering in Vegas. And I ended up I've got this Balintawak template I created, and what's really cool about it. So let's see if I can pull it up, because I actually have a graphic on this that I created. And that's it. Having teaching aids, huge. So when I do my virtual seminars, I have actually charts I pull up and stuff like that. I have a whiteboard in my school.
Yeah, I can see that, the need for in virtual. Okay.
Yeah. Well, even in my club, I'll pull up something I've got a big screen TV. I'll pull up a chart for everybody.
Seminars where you go to somebody else's place, you might not have the liberty.
Right.
Yeah.
So I like to have whiteboards around and stuff like that. Or I'll have
if you can, I like whiteboards myself. Yeah.
So, and I got this. It was actually guy I was with this weekend. Jason Arnold was helping me teach. I saw him do this and how he broke down the Parker Kempo techniques, because he's a Parker Kempo guy. And I took it and I made it me, and I took it to another level. I took it in a different direction. I don't want to say, I'm here to learn some of Datu's secrets. Okay. Thank you.
We all.
Hey, Chris, those sticks you made, he's making a lot of, he's doing kaiju weapons. So it's like, not, he calls it kaiju custom weapons. He's not creating kaijus, because then that would be illegal with all those monsters. And we don't have our Jaegers up and stuff like that. But we're going to be at a tournament this weekend. I want to see some of your sticks. They're not Kali sticks, by the way. They're sticks.
They're not Kali sticks.
Okay. They're not. Let me see. Modular training programs. Where are they? No programs. Modular training programs. Okay, good. So I'll teach a couple different ways, and one of which is in a system, and another way might be more of a modular program, like a little mini course on something. And what I did, let me see here. Blint walk. Let me do the view here. Oh, wrong chart. Let me get back to Blint walk over here.
Okay. What do you got?
Well, it's not what I'm looking for. Exact. I'm looking. Thank you. Okay, so this is not the one I'm looking for, but it will do.
Okay.
Open up a window, put this here, boom. Okay, so modern Balintwalk set. So it's a I'm not calling it modern Balintwalk. I was just like, it's modernism and Balintwalk hybrid training set because it's putting the two together. So off of a number 2 strike. That was the whole thing.
All right.
Each person is a different color here. So I do a number 2 strike, you block into a palis into a puño. From that, I can counter with passing it and striking number 9 or slipping it and doing number 9. If I do either or, I could go to these techniques, and then you could possibly counter off of this. If I went down this path over here on the side, maybe you did a number 2 strike, and before I had a chance to do something, you pass it and do a declaw. With the declaw is like a defang. In response to the defang, you may be doing a soyap, which is a sucking in technique. Well, I may abort that my strike to your wrist, pin your hand, and hit you in the head. So I've mapped out all these things, and they can give all these different other options.
Nice. Okay.
So I had this Balintwalk one I did, and I went up to Punong Ted, and so the original system of Balintwalk, Anshan Bakan did not do the grouping systems.
Correct.
He was scenario based, and I've had grouping people argue this with me, and I'm like, talk to Bobby, because Punong Ted taught for Anshan, and he's like, nope, Bobby. And I said, well, look, here's Anshan doing moves. I go, it's moves, yeah, but they're from the groupings. No, they're not from the groupings. They're Anshan's moves, and his students put them in the groupings.
Yeah.
Because he was just doing technique flows. So the thing was, Anshan didn't like going down. He didn't want to become predictable, and that's what a drill does. It's a pattern. It's predictable.
Yeah.
But what I showed Punong Ted, I go, I understand that we don't do drills. My goal is I want you to look at this, and I want to know if the sequence makes sense. I analyze this information properly. Oh, here we go. I found it right there, because it's not an issue of like, does he do this? It's like, is this right? So I have the white player does the puño abort. The defense against that is the bent arm block into a number 9 strike. If I do that, you could do an inside declaw and go down this path to respond, or maybe off of that block, depending on how you responded, I might do elbow toe cas. You might try to counter with a soyup. From there, I can do the abort into an arm pin, or I can do a punch and check. And then we go all this way, and it goes through this. And on paper, it doesn't look like much, but when I show this up, everyone's like, where the hell did this come from? I go, this is just organizing the material and mapping it out so you could replicate this with people, not a drill,
right?
Replication.
Okay, well, that itself, I mean, if you look at it, I mean, that's a way of preparing yourself. I mean, which is obviously going to enhance you running the floor, and that you have something, back up far as, that you can put up on a board or what have you, or at least write out part of it,
I almost thought about writing out the groupings that way. And I just chose not to. I mean, I do the groupings. I think they're great. I think if all you do is the groupings, there's a lot of missed opportunities. So you got to break it down. And Bobby's really good, at least when he's training when I brought him into town, he's very good at breaking down the groupings and showing applications.
Renee's good.
And then Renee has GM Bobby.
All right, so here's the thing with that, just so there's some context to his comment. Yeah, so Bobby is wants to do a movie. It came out in the interview yesterday with him covering North Carolina, trying to get some attention to that. And in addition to having some books coming out, Bobby wants to do a movie on himself, and he's looking into it. And Renee offered to play Bobby. So
okay.
So that's where that's coming from.
Secret is hit hard and first. Okay, so he's doing Cobra Kai.
Yeah,
Cobra Kai Kali. So is Paulo gonna film it?
I'm not sure. I think it's in its beginning stages. I don't want to misquote anybody, but I think an attorney is involved at this point. I think it's in the real beginning, if I remember correctly what he was stating about it. But hey, so just for folks that are watching, because I know we've been here, there, and everywhere, but it's all good stuff. That basically how to run the floor, how to be effective, how to be captivating your audience. If a mishap happens, how to deal with it, how to get through it. Change of course, change what you got to do. And you were outlining some of the, good ways of kind of refining or getting better at, presentations and doing it is speaking classes, speaking courses, public speaking courses, obviously getting in front of the floor and just doing it, right? Practical experience. And am I missing anything out?
No, I mean, listen, if you're not comfortable, well, listen, if you're teaching, you should be teaching all the time. Okay. The silver mane on Datu is pretty captivating. Stop man crushing on me. Listen, if you're not, if seminars are something, well, actually I had a guy this weekend talking about seminars. First of all, you have to have a desirable topic. Okay. At the end of the day. So I got people who are in karate and taekwondo and they want to teach seminars. I'm like, no, you have to be, okay. Here's the thing. You need a topic out there that as many people as possible want to do this. And the nice thing about Filipino martial arts, not the reason why I went into it, because this is the first art I trained. It's a very desirable add-on program or standalone program. Like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. A lot of people like doing BJJ to supplement their stand-up skills. Others people go into BJJ because they like it as a standalone art. Okay? So I was at a Kempo karate seminar with Jeff Speakman yesterday.
Yeah.
I enjoy martial arts. I geek out all the time on all seminars. Kempo seminars are not for the masses. Taekwondo seminars are not for the masses. Ishinru seminars, once again, are not for the masses. So, and using, basically Tapato, the long stick. How many people are interested in doing that?
I'm guessing very few, because I tell you, that's one thing I wanted to cover in FMA discussion, and I've yet to find anybody to
talk to Miguel Ruby.
Talk to Miguel Ruby, who is actually supposed to be coming on now that he's back from the Philippines.
Okay. You talk to him, because when I first met him, he had a Tapato guy that the two of them used to hang out together all the time. There is
a Tapato guy in California that's been told to me, and I'm going to guess it's probably the same guy that Mike knows. I know they're not a dime a dozen. Let's put it that way.
Okay. So here we go. Get involved with the seminar. Just don't talk but show what you can do. Also make people feel like they are part of the process.
Yeah,
Not just
absolutely.
sitting
Get
around.
engaging, right?
Engaging.
Engaging
Yep.
them. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Lots of Tapato guys in Spain. Listen, now right there, he nailed it right there, because this is one of the other things. Like
No,
when I'm doing
engaging, keeping
seminars,
them engaged. Absolutely.
okay, get involved in the seminar. Okay, you I've been to seminars where we did 3 techniques in 2 hours. I've been to seminars where the guy was given 15 minutes to teach, and it was a 15-minute demo.
I think you told me about that.
I had one of those where I did a 2-hour demo, and I didn't know that they wanted me to talk to people to make sure you're on the same page.
Yeah, but his point there being engaging, absolutely. If the
Yeah.
audience, I tell you, if the audience, I think that's the guy, Chris, that was being referenced. Yeah, we're still trying to get somebody on. So, Chris, if you know him or
Yeah, the guy that Miguel had was like, he looked like a Samoan dude. He's big. I mean,
yeah,
like
I didn't.
and
It wasn't described. Yeah, I'm not sure. It could be, but anyway, yeah. So, Chris, if you can.
I thought the karate and kempo parts of martial arts festival were great. Wish they had more, had been more, some more TKD. Now, of course, now Chris is a TKD guy.
Yeah.
Of course. And what did his instructor teach? Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Because he taught what he wanted to teach.
Right.
You know, the thing here is, you know, a lot, and that, okay, so Chris wanted Taekwondo. Okay, well, how many people want that? He's a Taekwondo guy, so that's why he likes Taekwondo.
Yeah,
He likes striking, you know. So I don't blame him. He likes things in addition to doing things outside, we want to do things that take our primary art to that next level. So you have to have a desirable topic, and some of the things that we teach cannot be taught to everyone. You know, if what are they looking for? If they're looking for, okay, there's this Krav Maga guy in Vegas making comments. I got some problems with some of the stuff he said, but he said something really good. I saw it today on one of my feeds. He was saying, you know, listen, someone said, hey, you're trained to fight. You're trained to fight untrained fighters out there so you can beat them. He goes, duh. What's wrong with that? I go, think about this. And this is something I've been saying a lot, and I like that someone else said it. 1% of the population, less than, but we round up, 1% of the population does martial arts.
Trains in martial arts.
Okay. 1% of them actually make it to black belt. Think about that.
1 out of 10. 1 out of 10 is like what used to be the rule, or the figure
that's
that was
10% of people. So I don't even know if it's 10% these days. But I mean, how many people in your white belt class still train? Oh, I know people that they were the only person left out of 30.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So, and then we're not looking for fights, so we're not fighting each other. You know, so why are you training for these other trained people? And the problem is some of the martial systems we do in Filipino martial arts are geared to fight other trained opponents. Yeah. So if people are looking for self-defense through Filipino concepts, some of us don't offer that.
Yeah. No.
I mean, listen, Serrata. I like Serrata, but that's not self-defense.
Yeah.
You know, my Balintwak. I love my Balintwak. It's not self-defense.
Right.
You could defend yourself with Balintwak, but it'd be a fine thing. But what about someone grabs you and you don't have a weapon? You know, and the good thing about modern is that it addresses that aspect as well. Okay, here we go. It has to be edutainment. Keep it interesting, but serious. And actually, I do that kind of thing. You got to crack some jokes. You can't always be serious. The best people that do violence have zero training in martial arts. Yes.
Think about that.
Yeah, my thought is, okay, first of all, you have to be engaged. You have to talk to the crowd. You know another thing I like doing? Pulling people up, helping me.
That's what I mean. Engaging. I'm trying to just leave some thoughts here with the folks that leave, like, you know, things that, you know, maybe they're considering doing it or leading up to doing it, or you know what I mean? Because I mean, if you've never done it before, it could be very overwhelming, you know.
Well, and you know, like when people are doing things, you don't need someone talented to swing a stick at you or grab your wrist. Now,
Mm.
make sure if you're doing wrist locks and controls, you're with people that you know can handle what you're going to do.
Yeah, I know. No, I know. As opposed to
Right.
picking out somebody random, and yeah.
Right. But I mean, like this whole weekend, I was doing Sinwalis, I was doing disarming, I was doing this, that, and the other thing, and I kept bringing different people up from the seminar who I'd never met before. I taught a kids seminar and an adult seminar, and I would bring as many different people up as possible to make them engaged in what's going on.
No, I think that's great. You know what I mean? Like once you got your season experience, but in the beginning, for somebody, it might be helpful to use somebody they're familiar with. You know what I mean? For obvious
Yeah. Oh,
reasons.
I would definitely. I mean, I would definitely go down and say, hey, listen, this is the guy I like to use.
Yeah, I mean, you know, what I mean,
If I'm
'cause
doing a drill, I always want to use someone that I know, But
Yeah.
at the same token, to keep people engaged, you bring them you make them part of what's going on.
Yeah.
It's like a good comedian or an entertainer. Like I love
calling somebody up on the stage, right?
yeah, or engaging with somebody in the
Yeah.
crowd. I mean, wow, now they're paying attention.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you got? Upcoming shows. What do you got? What do you got coming down the pipeline?
Okay, so again, and D-Man bedtime. Thanks. Yeah, we're wrapping up now, anyways. So
Is it FMA Talk? FMA just
yes. Just the answer is yes. We're co-branding. So I got 3 shows coming up, and then I'm going to take a break because I'm going to go to. It'll be 4th of July week, and we're going to shut down for that. So next week, which is the actually let me pull up the calendar while I have it here. So next week is the 12th or the 11th, I think it is. As I'm waiting for my calendar to show up. Oh, the 12th. So that is on FMA Talk with Tye Botting, but you never know when Dean might show up.
He's been known to show up.
We're going to talk about Remy Precis, Professor Remy Precis' organization, the International Modern East Federation. After he moved to the States, while he was alive, was the IMAF an actual organization or his personal brand or a little of both? We're going to talk about the pros, the cons, the successes, the failures, stuff like that. The week after, who should be allowed to do black belt promotions? And then the last week of June, the 26th. So that was the 19th. That was the one that caused all the trouble. So I'm expecting that one to have a lot of people watching live and then whining about it the week after or the day after. And then the last week of June, the 26th, is what we hear Remy talk about: the modern East, the art within your art. What does that really mean? Did he teach it differently? Did he test you differently?
Could be interesting.
And people are probably not going to like me when I talk about that one. But, and the thing here, and here's the thing. Listen, I don't go off to say stuff to piss people off, but I don't shy away from it either. The thing here is I don't want to live in a world that I feel afraid to say what I think. I should be allowed to say, because people say that all the time.
Right.
So so all the people I see out there that are complaining about this, that, and the other thing, and all of a sudden someone cries foul. They cry foul when someone says they didn't like. Oh, wait a minute. Like I get a lot of people. Oh, Tim, you're pissing people off. Why am I pissing people off? Maybe someone did something that pissed me off, and I'm actually talking out about it. Maybe I'm standing up for myself. Why is it automatically that Tim's the bad guy?
Yeah.
No, right. Because you're not doing your research, and you're siding with Oh, I heard Tim's a bad guy. So
this community can jump to conclusions very quickly and turn it. So I mean, drama sometimes fuels this community, unfortunately.
No. Hey, listen, I listened to an acquaintance of ours about a show, and I went with them on it. I didn't make a comment publicly, but then I was coming back from an event and I got to listen to it. And yes, somebody on that show is definitely, or on that podcast was definitely being a jerk, but I don't think the whole podcast was done in that manner. So I'm glad I didn't say anything. I'm glad I did my research, because my knee-jerk reaction is I trust this person because they were right the first time. The second time, they weren't right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right,
Okay.
Here's who I got coming down the.
Yeah. Who do you got?
Here's what I got coming down the pipeline for FMA discussion. Ready?
I'm ready.
I got Bird Richardson, Kelly Warden to promote his camp.
Oh, nice.
He wants to come in and do that. The Velez.
Moni Velez?
Yes.
Oh, nice. I like
Eugene is going to be very instrumental in that, but yeah, it's supposed to happen. Yep.
Moni's awesome.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but great things. Yeah. Addition to the top 100, I think, and I'm getting Jason Schultz, gutter fighting World War II combatives. I don't know much about it, but I want to know more. So I figured.
Wait. What? Say it again.
So it's a gutter fighting.
Wait, was that the Gutter? Oh, was that the Gutter Brothers? Was this the World War II combatives group?
It's World War II combatives, and I guess it's an anonymous name they will use is gutter fighting.
Oh yeah, as a matter of fact, I think this knife was so. This is the Casper Kershaw model, or Kershaw Casper model. A friend of mine gave me one of these, and this allegedly is the knife that they like using in their system. If it's the group I think it is, this has the dual lock on it. Can't get them anymore, but
yeah. I want to be honest. I'm not well versed in this, so I'd let you. Well, I've mentioned it before. I love systems that or interviews rather, that where I'm learning something, and so I'm looking forward to it. Again, I know I've heard of it, but never practice it or anything like that. So yeah, I think it'd be neat to cover. Apparently, Jason has done some studying in it. I'm not sure Mike Raymond as well. They're kind of part. But so he'll probably maybe.
So Noah King says, "Good job." Thank you, John Noah. Steve says, "Thank you for fantastic show. Have a great week." I don't know.
Knife. Maybe the knife that you got.
Gun Ho Chong. There we go.
Sorry. Okay.
And that's what I was
having a few blades on it.
Yeah. So
so I'm looking forward to that because I love episodes where you're actually like learning something. It just makes it just great that that, and so hopefully should be looking forward to that.
All right. Just an FYI, I don't have anything the rest of this. I'm actually not teaching anything the rest of the month. It's great. But on the 17th, PG Thai will be teaching in at Jackie.
Jackie Bradbury's.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so like KC.
Like KC. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So he'll be out there doing a seminar, Father's Day weekend. Hopefully he'll be back in time for the show.
No, that's not okay.
Brian Kanata and I will see you Saturday.
Oh, he's gone. Oh, wow. Yeah, Chris, we could talk again. I haven't forgot about you. I'm hoping you'll want to come on. But yeah, we could talk definitely on Saturday. Absolutely.
All right. Well, listen, everybody, as always, this is a great time. Glad you two guys tuned in for us. I want to, thank our co-host here for coming in.
Okay. All right. Let's hear it though. The official backup.
Yep. It's our so it is our official third host, third co-host. There we go. So we've got
and there will be
a team here.
There will be an announcement coming down the pipeline. That's all we'll say.
A lot of things coming down the pipeline, and a lot of stuff. Some things got pushed back a little further, but you know what? Good things come in the time. It's simple as that.
Good things are coming between FMA Pulse and FMA Discussion. Yeah.
FMA Pulse?
Oh my gosh, FMA Talk. Jeez.
There we go.
Sorry.
All right. So as always, everybody, please stay safe and stay sane. This is Datu Tim.
And this is, I don't know if I should go with Dim Bronco or just
whatever works for you, my friend.
I'll just go with Dean. Okay.
All right. And we'll see you all soon. Have a nice day.
All right.